Does anyone wish to speak? I see we have a couple of members, and I will write your slide after the consent agenda. And do we have anyone on Zoom?
No.
Like no. Okay. We do want to add an executive session to the agenda for the purpose of appointing a new board member, and then we also have a contract issue to discuss. Any other possible agenda items, Mia?
On the policy monitoring report, there was a third policy in our board packet, but it's not on the agenda, and it's one of the ones from the last meeting. I believe it's the dissection one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
maybe
there was
just
and there was a second from last meeting
that wasn't in our,
that isn't in the packet.
but I think
I'm wondering if we should just move to put both policy monitoring reports from last meeting onto tonight's agenda.
but we don't have a report for that other
Okay.
one,
Well, we did
Dissection.
from last,
but nobody could open it.
oh, that's right. So we
So
can't.
my
can't discuss it.
suggestion was to add dissection to the policy monitoring report list.
So when you were gonna check to see if, had you guys done that in a policy? That's why it wasn't on there.
Yeah.
Oh,
We discussed it. I don't think we.
discussed it.
Oh, I
And-
thought, okay.
No, I think it's
That-
fine to move forward with the
Yeah.
monitoring report. It's just that
Oh,
we,
the monitoring report,
Yeah,
yeah. We
yeah.
were gonna have it as the, for
First reading.
First reading, yeah, that's why I was
Yeah.
confused on that.
So add it to the policy monitoring
list.
list. Okay, so we'll have 3 on that. All right, do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Jill, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thanks. And then next item, new board applicant. We got one letter of intent from Rhett Williams, and you're very welcome to take a few minutes to speak to your candidacy, answer any questions if you wish. You don't have to, but opportunity.
Well,
Not to put you on the spot, right?
Yeah, no.
You know,
And you can just refer to your letter too. It was
right, I mean,
well
the
done.
letter kind of says, if anyone didn't read the letter, you know, I was a teacher for 4 years in Queens, learned a lot, had some struggles we can talk about another time. But it was part of the Teach for America,
yeah?
New York City Teaching Fellow Program.
My
So
husband
I know
did
that
the
you were
teaching
part of
fellows.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a teaching fellow. And then, you know, family issues moved towards psychiatric care, to mental health care. So that's what the field that I'm in now. And I'm the director of education and training at the Psychiatric Care Hospital next to CVMC. And I've always thought that this was the public service that I would end up in because of my background and because of my interest in the schools and because of my interest in the future of the school system and the vision process. And there's an opening and there's a need and there's not a lot of people stepping forward and the time is now. So, you know, I just want to do the best job I can. I don't have an agenda of any kind. I want to be open to the best ideas and, you know, hear the bad ones and put in what work I can to the best ability that I can and try to help in any way. That's about it.
Excellent, thank you. Really appreciate it. Any questions for Rhett? And you're welcome to stick around. We will formally appoint an executive session. The outcome will probably not be a cliffhanger.
I want to thank you for submitting your letter, and I think it's great that you're willing to step up. Thank you.
Yeah, sounds like we're all very lucky to have your interest.
Absolutely. Great. No, thank you, Rhett. Really appreciate it. So board discussion, planning for community outreach for the board. I know everyone gave ideas. Amanda very kindly put together kind of a list of assembled ideas. I don't know, Amanda, can I talk about your list a little? Maybe have Amanda talk about our list and then we can kind of think about an outreach plan, and which will probably be various people taking groups on the list and planning to reach out to them and do some listening and come back to the board.
So, yeah, I mean, I send it out around. It's a list that, and I compile everybody's ideas. So kind of sit in three components. One was like the in-school outreach to students, to families. Another one is extending that outreach to in community sessions with the various organizations in both towns and like the places that people frequent. The third one is just like tabling at events, community events that happen, places that people congregate, like the farmers market, art walks, and things of that sort. And the third piece of it, well, four pieces, I guess. Another one's the community organizations, which I already talked about. And then the rest is just marketing flyers using the various outlets like Front Porch Forum, some of the local newspapers like Time Argus and that. So I was hoping that, we can use some of those ideas and then decide, like how we go about. I see as like the next steps, just together coming up with some questions that we want to answer so that it's not so open-ended, but also not closed. So that we can, when we do analysis and qualitative data, that we have some sort of framework and that it's not such out there. So that's what I was thinking. I don't know what people think.
Yeah, it sounds very, the other thing I want to clarify too is, and we had, Amanda talked about this, but obviously this is important for the ESSER 3 discussion, but we were thinking of just framing it in terms of budget priorities in general, so we can not only use it for the budget, but we also thought it might be less confusing to the public if we were trying to explain various buckets of money rather than just, stating the type of, I think, make clear the type of spending that ESSER can be spent on, so people are thinking about those priorities, but then also just getting ideas in general, so the discussion is not, well, we can't spend on that, or maybe we can spend on that.
Exactly.
But just to get the priorities, and then, obviously, if ESSER funds aren't appropriate for things that rise to the top, there are other funds, there are budget discussions that we can talk about. Any questions for Amanda, or just about the idea process in general? How do people want to go about divvying up groups? We could either take some now, and maybe, if we don't get to them all, we can, come back and divvy up some later. We can do it by email.
Forgot to mention one thing is that also the idea to have some affinity spaces for different folks, BIPOC folks or families that have kids with IEPs, 504 plans, diversity. And there are some community members that might be interested in helping facilitate those, just to give people trust and a little more opening to kind of share feelings and things. So that could be, and we could probably ask LGBT folks to also like lead some of those conversations so that it is more definitive space. That's why it's important to kind of come up with some questions.
So it sounds like we have two things. One, to come up with some common questions, and maybe we can do that again by just emailing them. And then it might take a little time to set up some meetings. So if there are groups or people kind of know right now they'd love to take, maybe we claim them. Otherwise, we can You can also just claim them by email.
I
And if
know
there are
there's-
some that you're missing,
Yeah.
you know, we can add them now, you can send them to me. That was not a full list.
I've reached out to the Main Street Middle School Caregivers Alliance. And so I know I'm going to start going to those meetings and helping. They want more, they want briefings on what's happening at the school board, and then I can use that time to also receive feedback.
Awesome.
So I can do that one.
I would be willing to do the high school. I need to know what the status of the high school caregivers alliance is right now.
Boosters.
Boosters, yeah.
We're at flag.
That's still talking to. I know it's kind of evolved over the years.
I'm meeting with Jolinda tomorrow, who's like the pie
The pie group.
president. So I can talk to her about how they can support. And then I'm part of the UES Caregivers Alliance.
I love the idea of having like a regular presence at places like the farmer's market. I think it might be good to have some sort of like sign up genius or something going where, you know, we could just rotate through and just have a table there that people could talk. I don't know if that's what we're picturing at the farmer's market or the coffees, you know, that kind of thing. I'm happy to partake, but I'm not gonna do it all myself. We'd probably have to reach out to the organizers of the farmer's market and,
Yeah.
you know, we could do it in a more like casual way, but it's gonna be awkward unless we have an official presence.
So here are the tasks. All right, then. I can reach out to the farmer's market and figure out that logistics, and then you can set up a Genius and people can sign up for a Saturday that they are able to go there and enjoy some coffee.
Yep.
And like just flyer.
Kristen, is there a farmer's market that happens weekly or bi-weekly in Roxbury?
There's not a farmer's market. Kind of tried to develop like an inventory of like gathering places. You know, I mean, we're, you know, Roxbury is a bit of a different community in terms of what its downtown looks like. So, you know, places that get, I guess, like high traffic places in Roxbury, as much as there would be traffic, you know, like the country store and the town office and, you know, the school certainly. So at the post office, actually, so, you know, something I've just been thinking about, you know, if it's a private, you know, business, obviously we would need to get permission from the store owner, and then also the post office being a federal building. I don't know what that would look like. So just needing to do some outreach from, you know, the few well-trafficked places that we have here in town to see if we could, you know, set up and do some outreach. So I know that there's also the community center, which would just be a matter of arranging with the town bill, our town administrator, Tammy, and just getting permission, I think, to just set up there essentially.
You
So
wanna
yeah,
check that?
what's that?
Do you want to check
Sure,
on that?
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
I could reach out to someone on FOMS and see if they want to do like another kind of listening session like we did pre-COVID
With who?
with the Friends of Montpelier
Oh,
Schools group.
I'll take the basement teen center. Reach out to somebody there to see how I could, or a couple of us, or maybe we alternate like the farmer's market. Drop in, like figure out how to engage, ask questions, see if the teens will even talk to us.
Well, it kind of brings up that question of like also potentially having a board member be, we had talked about it in the spring.
Yes.
And then we
Oh,
sort of
a
said, let's
student board
table
member.
that and do it in the fall. But maybe, I know there was you had a lot of ideas about how to potentially, or who to reach out to do that. Maybe we just like accept letters and do the same thing like we are doing with other board seats. We just put a poster up or something and have them send an email out, whoever that would be, the principal, and then just accept letters of interest.
Yeah, I think that'll be great.
Do you want me to reach out about that?
For
Renee.
student board members, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Board members.
There's not a lot of people knocking on the door to take that on. The person is Matt McLean, not Renee. Matt is the director of Flexible Pathways, and we run that through the Flexible Pathways programming.
So I'll connect with you.
It would be good to recultivate that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it might be nice to not have it be only like a flexible pathway thing, like a.
It's
like-
not, Matt just knows that, Matt has closely connected to all the students around what interests are.
Yeah.
And he just knows the student body in that way.
Okay.
So he's the best person to do it.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
it's not
so-
technically a flexible pathway.
So I'll reach
How
out
we-
to you.
Have we ever considered a middle school student?
We've had them on subcommittees. There were
Yeah, we've had them
Some
on
of the,
fire and
the
subcommittees.
facilities, the school building.
I think it becomes, the night meetings become a little more of a challenge when you get to the middle school level. But it's worth. Yeah, if Mike Barry has any ideas or someone.
I mean, I have a few students that I would love to have who are brilliant, but I mean, I think the idea of having letter of intent, if people are interested, just like makes it a little more exciting for students to participate that way.
So I'll reach out to Libby and kind of work on it behind the scenes and then come back to the drawing board with you guys at the next meeting.
Is Matt McLean also the one to ask about sporting events? If we wanted to put a table there?
It'd be Matt Link.
Matt Link, thank you.
And we would go through you for that?
Yeah, you just CC me and reach out to me.
I can take that one on.
Oh, great.
You actually get a lot of parents at sporting events, so.
I'd be willing to write an op-ed, certainly run it by everyone before publication, but if that's helpful.
Great.
Question is, op-ed does it make sense to do an op-ed now or when we have a budget to sell?
Maybe
think
at least the
both.
front porch forum for sure,
Yeah.
to try to drive people to the webpage to submit ideas. And then, yeah, definitely, that makes sense when we have something we're offering.
Or to announce like,
Something we're
find us at the farmer's market this Saturday or something.
Yeah.
Could be that,
Yeah.
what you use that for.
So maybe with all this, we can like come up with some schedule once we have like the ideas of like, here are the community spaces, here's how you can take part of these conversations. In Roxbury, boom, 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 in Montpelier, boom, boom, boom. We'll also have a presence these days at this tabling event. Come talk to us.
And do we have to compile this as some sort of a report to meet the requirements? Is that, we just have to.
There's
sort
no
of-
requirement for it.
Okay,
I'm just
that's-
looking at the
that's-
schedule, like in order to build the budget and take community feedback into consideration, we need it, the administration would need it by the board meeting of the 20th of October and no later than that.
So quick turnaround.
Yeah.
October 20th.
I mean, I think it doesn't, this work needs to happen regardless of budget
Yeah.
season to know the feedback of the community, so we can have some of it, and we can have, you know, others afterwards. I don't think we should limit ourselves to like, we have 2 weeks to do all these things. I think this is a way for us to start really becoming really that bridge, and that people can see us as an open door. So I think that we could do a lot short term before October 20th, but also we shouldn't limit ourselves, and we should actually plan to do this ongoing so that we could have that community feedback and build something that is like, that can help with the visioning process once that begins, which is a 6-month process, and it just becomes a, you know, a platform of data collection from our communities.
So the October 20th, you're saying, Libby, is about ideas or input for budget creation.
Right.
Right.
There's still time for budget feedback after October 20th.
Yeah, the initial budget presentation to the board by the administration is the 1st of December.
Okay.
But that takes a while to put together.
Yeah.
So if,
And that is not, October 20th is not ESSER feedback.
no, it's
Just
budget. Budget
Okay.
season, yeah.
Yeah, but, and I totally agree, Amanda, that this should just be part of the board culture of like, just creating space for people to talk to us.
But just so you know, that the first presentation is the first, and you give feedback on that presentation. And then we take that feedback and we bring back another presentation, which is often similar, but it has your feedback in it, and on the 15th of December.
Yeah.
We take more feedback if you have.
Exactly, right. So
Yeah, so there's
it's
plenty of,
ongoing.
yeah, except if you want, once we present on the first, like, yes, the budget
You're tweaking.
tweaks and all that kind of stuff, but we're not reinventing that budget going forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we've often done a separate kind of early January, like a special meeting
Yeah.
to try to entice the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, where we've brought in like pizza and, just taking feedback. And that meeting is more or less like the last opportunity to really change anything.
Because it has to get warned and
Yep.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, and that's scheduled for the 1st of January.
Okay,
I'll be so cold.
thank you.
I'm sorry.
First meeting.
Yeah, sorry, the first meeting in January.
It's the
sorry.
way we bring everyone in, is to
Yeah,
just,
Do it on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So non-dual meetings.
On this holiday.
I'll
One,
be wearing my sleeping bag.
one other thought that I have is that even though there are lists of places and gatherings that are in Roxbury, I myself would like to attend some of those, and I would
Mhm.
encourage other Montpelier members who live in Montpelier to come to those, and also Kristen and to come to some of the Montpelier stuff, that we
Yeah.
should be doing both. We
Yep.
should be in both places because we represent the whole community.
Correct.
So process question around that. So if there's more than 2 board members present at any sort of meeting, does it need to be warned? Is that,
It needs to be warned if you intend to talk. If you just want to absorb
okay,
and let someone else lead the event, there can be as many board members as possible. But once you start engaging in discussion, then
can you give like an introduction as to what type of feedback we're looking for? And then sit back and listen? Or, or is that too much?
No, I think you can do that.
I think
You
if-
can't
I think-
answer questions.
I think if one person did that and kind of like laid the foundation and said, here's the process, here's what we're looking for, here's input that would be good. We're
Yeah.
here to listen. You can't speak because it's a board meeting.
Yeah.
And then you sit back and you listen.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Is it strict listening or there's not even a follow-up question or what do you mean? Or
I think if you answer like a basic
Tell me more about that.
question, I think if it's like purely informational, I think once it starts to look like brainstorming, then it becomes problematic.
If
Okay.
you have more than one board member.
If you have
More
more
than
than
two.
More
two.
than 2 board members. I see.
Okay. So we're gonna want to make sure we have a place to compile when we do start creating a schedule. We want to have a place where people can see that so that if you want to attend,
Yeah.
then you can.
So I like making flyers, so I can make a flyer and then we can just change the date.
Mhm.
And like the name of the places, I'll just make it generic, so like if you want to do that, you can, farmer's market, and we'll just change the date.
Great.
Thank you so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, look at some more of these if you want to, start doing outreach, just send an email so people know, so we're not fading efforts, but obviously the more groups and people we talk to, the better.
You can also add me to the list for the principal swoop scoop, for more of the outbound engagement. I imagine it's something like the Caregivers Alliance has announcements in like every other one of the swoop scoops that go out. I think it would be nice if the board did as well.
And Libby, do you know where you stand? Where does the school stand right now? Like I see one of the things is about open hours at the MHS library. Would that have to be outside of school hours?
Yes.
Okay. But the idea being that we're hopeful to attract students to that is what I'm thinking. So maybe it would be better to just have open hours outside of the high school or something. We should talk about what makes sense of how to like create a public presence for students to engage with us.
I think if you were, yeah, we can talk about that, and Matt and Renee would probably know better than I do, but I think student schedules are so different.
Right.
And so, and we're really trying to limit some things, but if you were to do things out in the courtyard directly after school, you know, it's a nice space, there's lots of seating, and but if it's directly connected to school time, that would probably be better. Or you can hang out in the tent during the lunch hours if you wanted to.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
They don't have enough time to eat.
Oh, the high schoolers do.
Oh,
So I will explore that.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah,
and-
Matt and Renee would probably be
okay.
better in that conversation than I would, but that there's definitely free time for high school students. We would just have to make it known who you were.
Yeah,
That
right.
kind of good stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Soren, what's your mom doing here?
and
Exactly.
Julius,
It's good vantage point to spy.
Soren, I'm just
I know
doing
that
my
the
job.
U.S. Caregivers Alliance is flyering outside for like their meetings and just like a welcoming thing. So I wonder if that's something we could do too, just like flyer. I'm a school board member. Anything.
Sure.
You mean during drop off and pickup?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I can ask Peter about that when I email about this week's group.
One that had great appeal to me because it just seemed like it would be so much fun is riding the bus with the kids. And is that a real offer? I would love to know, because with Roxbury, you have 30 minutes with a captive audience from here to there. Is that allowable?
I can't see why we couldn't allow that,
Uh-huh.
since you're a school board member, not
Uh-huh.
just, you know,
Sure,
I don't think parents would be happy if other people were riding the bus with
Right.
their children.
right.
I will tell you that if you're riding to Montpelier
So
in the
probably
morning,
a little sleepy
the
of a
students are
crowd.
not exactly
Looking-
exuberant
yes.
at that time, and in the afternoon, they may be too exuberant
Right,
to really
right.
talk to you.
Maybe an early release day,
so,
or it's
I
right at the
mean,
sweet spot.
If you wanted to, it would be an interesting,
It would
it would
be,
be
yeah.
very
It
informational.
just looked so fun,
many
felt
levels for you.
nostalgic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about the Roxbury teen population too, because I think initially when I joined, we were, I was asking about the number of Roxbury middle school and high school students, and I was kind of astounded. It was like 46, which then we're at.
It's not that high now. Oh,
For-
yeah, actually, if you're talking about.
Yeah, middle school
high
and- yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking-
So, in our community, we don't have as much of it. There's not many places for young folks to be visible. We don't have like a lot of commerce. We don't have a lot of places for them to be. So I'm very interested in trying to reach out to our Roxbury kids and possibly look at the library as being a space to host some sort of, Q&A platform with them, because I think their experience is also somewhat unique because they're coming back and forth and they're new to the district. So I would love to hear, how their experience is going and what's been happening for them. So I will take that on too. You can add that to my list.
I wonder if you could arrange the bus ride is not just you being on the bus, but you just speaking on the bus and asking for feedback and having a conversation.
I think
That's probably the best way to get.
the high schoolers from, sorry.
I know it's-
The high schoolers from Roxbury get to school early.
Yep.
Because we have to have the middle schoolers there by 8, and the high school schedule doesn't start till
That
8:30.
would start, yeah.
So that's another.
Yeah,
piece.
window.
I think they hang out in the cafeteria
Uh-huh.
from 8 to 8:30.
Okay.
So it might be another opportunity that might be a little bit more structured than being on the bus.
Right.
And you might have a more willing audience.
Can we give them a donut?
I would,
No.
An apple.
No, an apple with some peanut butter.
Apple donut.
Peanut butter, yeah.
An apple donut. Banana with peanut butter.
I'm definitely happy to go to any Caregivers Alliance and be a second person.
Yeah,
and
same.
Schedule allows, others as well. It would be great to brainstorm with Matt McLean about how we can attract students here, like what would entice them.
To become board members?
Yeah,
Yeah, he'd be the best person to talk to about that.
yeah, because I have a feeling that there's a little self-perpetuating machine that COVID kind of killed. Just
Yes.
the students, the students who are moving off, like, recruited either junior or sophomore to come
Yes.
on. And I think we've lost that, and now it's like, I'm gonna sit with adults on my Wednesday night, hear about really boring things. No thanks.
For them, interested in the middle school.
Yes.
Get them young.
Do you want me to, do you want to be part of those conversations when I reach out to Libby about?
Yeah, if it works, I definitely would be. I
Okay.
mean, just if there's any. Yeah,
So I'm meeting with Matt.
Okay,
yeah, kind of if we could structure it as like a for credit project, if, there's certain things that if we told them they were going to do, they'd be really excited about.
what about college applications? That isn't a thing anymore. I feel like,
It's a huge thing.
yeah,
Okay.
so like people are looking for things to put on their
Yeah,
resume.
I'm sure we can find something.
There's some really great students at Montpelier High
Yeah.
School too. I think we're gonna find someone.
Yeah, no, the ones we had, when we had them were fantastic. And,
Yeah.
We would give them space to present almost meeting.
It was every meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they would be a good resource for us to keep that channel of communication alive between other students,
Yeah.
They could help us do that.
Yeah, so,
And the students that were in the public safety committee. were
Amazing.
Really amazing.
Really amazing.
yeah,
I did try to recruit them actually.
Yeah, we did kind of a hard sell.
One of them did, yeah. But they're busy too. I mean, kids are busy and they have sports and other extracurricular activities.
That's
So,
one of the challenges is a lot of kids would be interested in school board and also play sports or
Yeah.
do theater. And
yeah, so that's what it is, but we'll figure it out. We'll find someone.
yes.
So with this, okay, Annika, what would you like to do?
I'll
Jill, you got an op-ed. What else?
I was thinking I would like to do the either sports events or the Caregivers Alliance if that's not already covered. I'm already going to field hockey games. I'm happy to go to more things like that.
It would be nice if somebody went to the UES so that I can wear it full time.
And I think Tina Muncie would want me to volunteer to go to the senior center, so I would be happy.
I was gonna mention this.
Great.
Great. Annika?
I'll do the high school games and farmers market.
Great.
Yeah.
I think we should sign Andrew up to go to the senior center with Kristen, because I think the two of them would be great at the senior center together.
With Jill, you mean?
I'm sorry, with Jill.
It's like,
Yes. I think they'd be great at the senior center together.
we do go to the senior, before COVID, the administrative team goes to the senior center to, once the budget is cooked.
Yeah.
To answer questions and serve lunch and things like that. It's Grant Geisler's favorite thing to do.
Well, and
Mike Berry's.
a couple times I went there as a board member, it's one of the bigger audiences.
Oh, they are the most
No kidding.
articulate, educated audiences,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I wonder if the city council is the place where we can like take up their public comment in every of the city council meetings, like, here's what you guys need to know about the school board, boom, 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 or something like that, or just like ask that, oh, but we have the same day, no? City
Yeah.
council are the same day as the school
Alternate.
board? Or the alternate?
Kristen and Matt, isn't there a senior center here too?
there is a senior center. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Because the kids go there.
We have potlucks. There may be a potluck October 2nd.
Ooh,
Certainly that could be a place to solicit information and interest.
Jody's just trying to bribe you guys for your vote now.
It's okay, I'm on them.
oh, great. I can do all the like community organizations that work with some of our youth here, like the Vermont Center for Independent Living and Outright Vermont are the two that I know. Great.
Excellent.
Thank you for doing
Jim,
Yeah.
what did you sign up for? Only Friends of Montpelier School?
Thumbs and the
Boosters.
at high school.
Okay.
And
And I've
he's also
also-
volunteering to help deal with the recruitment of future student board.
And be a
members.
possible second at MSMS or UES.
Okay.
He's also definitely doing coffees and farmers markets. When the sign up genius is ready, he's on that.
I should ask Willow one. Can I just have a table right here? every day? That's what I eat anyway.
Might as well, yeah.
Right?
Can I just take a shingle? Did we want to brainstorm questions now or do that over email? What were you thinking?
How are we doing with the agenda?
We're good.
We're good.
We're
Although,
I would take the time to do it.
is the,
Yeah,
is the
let's
thought
do it
exchange a
now.
presentation, Libby?
It's
or
not a
is it-
presentation. I just wanted you to have the link to that. That's a resource that we have purchased with ESSER 2 money. And just take a look at it. It's
was
not
good.
in our hands yet, but
Yeah.
once the bill is paid, it will be. We have to wait for the amendment to get approved. It's a really cool, it's like Google Survey on steroids. It's a really cool tool that we'll have at our fingertips. So once I get the 401 of how to work it, it's certainly at the boards, you all can certainly use it as well
Oh,
for your
great.
board work.
That's awesome.
That's all
Or
great.
anything. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, and for the public, it's just a really brief, like, you can ask a question, you can either be in a meeting together and ask a question, or you can do it virtually without the meeting taking place synchronously. And people chat in answers to the questions, and that you can rate people's answers and you can answer, you can talk back to
Oh,
it.
wow.
So you can see like which themes rise to the top as the most prioritized, and what people are saying to each other about it. So it's I've only seen little demos of it, but it's a super cool tool
Right.
for getting engagement from people.
Great.
Neat.
So let's do some questions. I'm ready.
These are questions we're asking ourselves or questions we want.
The questions you want to pose to the. I mean, a good one is list the top 3 things you'd like to see more investment in.
Okay.
I'd ask for specifics too, if I could. So if somebody says social emotional health, I'd always follow up with, could you tell me more about what you're envisioning?
And maybe some questions around values too, like what are some of the values you think should be driving our spending decisions? So,
That should be driving our spending decisions.
yeah. Which goes so much to priorities, but I think it's a little.
So are we mostly trying to generate questions that are focused on budget for now because that's the most immediate? Yeah. Okay.
Is it, do we wanna also like just hear, what are your top concerns?
Yeah.
Your top 3 concerns? Maybe they only have one.
And do these all need to be framed within COVID-19? It looks like these are intended to prepare for, prevent, and respond to COVID-19.
No,
No,
Yeah.
that's for our
No.
investor.
Yeah.
No, that's why it was like beyond.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we could frame up that, some of these funds are tied to expenditures around COVID-19. So, in addition to other things, if you've got specific ideas around that, that would be super helpful.
I think it would also be nice to know, like, if we're talking to a student, like, what's the best thing about school? Or I don't know if it's your favorite thing, or what's
The strengths.
what's the thing that you're getting the most out of right now?
Yeah.
I don't want to frame it as just favorite, because, they make it all say
Ice
PE or
cream.
recess or whatever, but
There's nothing wrong with that.
which is, I understand those are very valuable, but I also want to know more like, it's not just what is that you like about school, but it's like, what's helping you get the most out of it. Which, I don't know, maybe that's a hard, I don't know, but that's why I was trying to frame the question in that way.
I think also as students, like what don't you like? And as one of students, you might get some kind of infrastructure or building type things that you might not get with the general public.
Mhm.
Oh my God, the documents are awful, although they're not.
More content.
But there was a time when they were like pretty gross, and like, who would know that?
Mhm.
The only caveat to that would be that any kind of document you make, remember it's a public facing document and you don't want any teacher's names in there.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
No. We
Just
we
as
will
a-
make sure that we
Just
have,
a reminder.
yeah, yeah.
I think from adults in the community too, it would be interesting to know sort of what they are seeing that's working really well in the schools, what they think is, you know, what they value the most in their experience with the schools. So kind of like the student question, but just for adults also, I think it's important to know.
In terms of data collection, do we ask the same 10 questions to every single group? You know, like, do we have a sign at the farmer's market that say, here's our top 10 questions? Give us feedback. You know, like. We could,
Yeah, and there
we
can
could
always
have
be
a
open-ended.
composite people can record and send us like WhatsApp chat. Hey, we do that.
A voice recording.
Yeah. Like, here are my top 10 concerns. I don't know. That's just a question for data people. Andrew's not here.
I think it's going to end up being more qualitative anyway, even if we do ask the same question. People are going to be giving open-ended long answers. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do like a quick analysis of like 86%, you know. But if we ask the question about like, what are your top 3 priorities, we can sort of list that out. I was kind of wondering the same thing from a data standpoint of like, do we want to present people with choices? Like, here are all the sort of buckets of funding that we typically, you know, put money into. What are your top 3? But it might be more valuable to leave it open-ended.
I think, in my opinion, I think that we should have, I think this is a beginning of a real community engagement process.
Yeah.
And I think like we should have that, just like be open.
Yeah.
Especially because like we already know that there are certain things that the district needs to spend its money on. And so like, this is like, I think of this process as just like beyond the actual money that we have this year on the budget, but that it helps us see what the community is like envisioning, that it gets tied in with the visioning process with the consultant, that like it gets tied in with the budget process that really has with the administration. So I think it's just like the beginning of really listening and then creating those thematic things where we can see, hey, there's like, we already heard that the special ed needs a lot of support. How do, you know, like we heard a lot of that. So how do we go about, and what are the tools that the administration is already doing? What are the things that we need to do?
I could see value in using a method like we used at our retreat in terms of like a stickies board. You know, if you're going to have like a large volume of people going through, I mean, I know that we would love to dig into substance, but some people may not feel comfortable in that and would rather kind of stay somewhat anonymous. So just to give people like the questions are visually posted and then folks can ruminate and maybe they can just, you know, stick their sticky and like get on their way. And if you also are having a traffic jam, there's a lot of people, you know, building up. It gives people still, you know, at least a quick way to chime in. It doesn't allow for follow-up, but it at least maybe could, you know, initiate some thinking around some topics.
Yeah, no, about 3 or 4 years ago, we did a bonds thing like that. basement of the Kelly-covered library. And it was, people put sticky notes with kind of like, each one had, 3 things that they wanted the school to focus on budget-wise, and they just, everyone wrote down, put on the board, and then they kind of like lined them up in groups, and it was pretty clear where priorities.
Mhm.
I feel like it was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Huh?
Maybe 6 or 7 years ago now.
No,
That was before me.
that's only that.
Yes.
It was before me.
The
Oh.
years are
Okay.
ticking away.
Who,
Yeah,
and,
taking
and
it away.
anybody wants
4
to
or
the
5 maybe?
library?
Huh?
The library is a good place.
You mean like a table, just to drop in and see?
Drop in, talk to the librarian so that they can help with, you know.
In terms of like almost leading like something like that up
Yeah,
for a period
yeah.
of time.
Mhm.
Yep, I could see that working here as well.
I think you put like a Dropbox in the library.
Mhm, mhm.
Is it safe to say that the board's role is the public facing and that the administration is engaging the staff and educators on getting their input on the budget development? I'm just looking through this public engagement piece that mentions educators and
Again, that's for our professor, right? So we generally work with the principals who know their buildings pretty well, right? I mean, to think that there's a lot of wiggle room in the local budget isn't an accurate thought, right? There's not, because most of it is salaries and benefits. So of staff we already have. So there's not a huge amount of wiggle room to play with here, right? So it's the administrator's responsibility to truly think about what are the priorities that we need. We're starting that process on Monday, with our big brainstorming session. And they bring their teachers' voices to that table as well. With our professor, we're starting those conversations too next week, actually. We're around some different spaces with individual teaching teams.
So I'll send this out. If you guys have any questions, you can reply to me and then I'll put it up. I'll do a flyer and then like come up with some schedule that people, I'll send it to Emma so she can do a Genius. Cause she's good at that.
Thank you, Marta.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It's great. It's always good to have a year we can start back and see people. Let's move to policy monitoring. I have 3, we got 15 student attendance, 14 student freedom of expression, and whatever dissection.
Animal dissection.
Animal dissection. I've said the number.
G5.
G5. Thank you.
You call
Um, Do you have a motion to approve the student attendance monitoring report?
I'll move to
Oh, I have a question. Oh.
And we can do that during discussion.
approve the student attendance monitoring report.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Not sure who said that.
We both did simultaneously.
Discussion?
I have a few questions. What I got was the procedure. That's what, right?
For
There
which
was a
one?
procedure in
Attendance procedure was in our board packet.
our
yeah.
board packet.
But
And so I have a question regarding the truancy procedure, this one that was on the website. And what was my question? Where did I write it? Sorry. Okay, and so there is S16 passed this year, a couple of months ago, which is the discipline bill that passed, which created a working group that's looking at discipline data and suspensions, but also has a piece on truancy. And it has a data reporting clause that the schools will report to the Agency of Education every year, the reporting of truancy and like what was done and So I didn't see that in the procedure itself, that of the data collection piece.
That procedure that you have in your hand, that's still on our website, the truancy procedure,
This one?
that's given to us by the courts.
Okay,
So that's not ours that we have written.
okay,
That's given us to the courts, and they haven't given up, it's not the most facile
Yeah.
system. So that's the last update that was given to us. And
Okay.
yeah, it most likely is out of date because we're working with the court system on that. Like they give it to us.
okay. And so when I was reading the procedure, there it's in this sheet, it says level 1 and level 2 students have missed 10 or more days in any 12-week period. But in our procedure itself, too many papers. It doesn't specify the 12-week period. So I just wanted to
We might just
understand.
have missed that in the
Okay.
procedure part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so if I miss 5 days in 12 weeks, if I'm sick or like if unexcused, right? Like
Mhm.
then, can I miss like 10 days through the year? That's what I didn't read between this sheet and this procedure.
I actually didn't recognize, we're gonna take that one down, the court one, because it's so
Okay.
out of date. So
Okay.
and we'll reach out to the courts Nick reach out to the courts to try to get a new one.
Okay. Okay.
Because the last meeting I had with the courts around that was probably my first year of my superintendency.
Okay.
So that's what that's from. So it's 4 years old. And I actually didn't even realize it was still up there. So we're going to take that down. Thank you for pointing that out
Okay.
to me, Amanda.
Great.
And I can find clarity on the 12-week piece
Okay. Thank you.
for our procedure. And just to clarify is that if a kiddo's sick, that's an excused absence,
Exactly.
right? That's,
Yeah.
that's not an unexcused absence. So truancy is dealing with unexcused absences.
Okay.
So I just find out, but when a court gets involved in truancy, who's the enforcement against the guardian?
And to say the court gets involved with truancy is,
Euphemistic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really optimistic of you. That just doesn't happen.
I had a question about, so I know there was mention of the community liaison, I think is the
Yeah.
position that came through ESSER, and it's probably too early to tell whether or not that's being
Are you
successful yet.
kidding me?
Yes.
He's amazing.
Cool. But so I'm just curious if that position is using any, I know I didn't go as far as Amanda to dig up that truancy procedure, but I remember it was mentioned and I wondered what that looked like or how archaic it was, and wondered if the community liaison is like what approaches or new approaches as does this individual envision using, and will we kind of see at some point the outcomes of that?
The truancy, there's very, like, that's outlined for us by the courts. I mean, there's very.
How you can go about,
Right, what the procedure is.
Okay.
When the letters are sent home and all that kind of stuff. Like, we
Sure.
don't have a whole lot of wiggle room there.
yeah,
Nick currently is a phenomenal hire. I'm gonna have him come talk to you guys one night. 'Cause
Great.
He's super. He's technically got a caseload of 4 students right now, maybe a couple more.
Mhm.
And he is building relationships with them. He's at their houses. He's got kids texting him to make a connection. Most of the kids are just not willing to leave their house for anything. And so he's making the goals he should be making. The first goal is to let's go outside, let's go for a walk.
Mhm.
Let's do that kind of stuff. He has a lot of experience with this in Colorado and in Montpelier before he went to Colorado. I can imagine, I haven't seen him work with kids yet, but I can imagine they just love him.
Mhm.
He's joined our equity team. He's working with kids who are having a hard time, even if they get themselves to school, they are refusing to get into any type of class. And so he's connecting with those students as well. He's just a fantastic hire.
Great to hear.
So I'll have to have him come talk to you. As far as like envisioning new procedures and things like that, I think he needs to learn more than what, he just needs to learn the procedures
Sure.
now, but yeah, I'll have him come talk to you guys one night because he's great.
That'll be
Great. Thank you.
And so for I guess the last piece will be like the data reporting.
Yeah, well, when the law comes through, we'll make sure
Okay.
that that policy will probably, the student attendance policy may have to be updated.
Yeah. Well, that already passed, that piece of it.
I know, but we haven't gotten any written guidance on it.
Oh, okay.
You know, we've gotten the written guidance around suspension.
Uh-huh.
We got that just last week to give you a sense, right? So
Uh-huh.
that the law passed a while ago, but the written guidelines on that just came through, I think on Friday.
Oh, who writes the guidance?
Yeah.
Oh, he does? Okay. So that's the no child under 8 should be
Right.
suspended.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So when they send through for truancy, then we'll let you know if the policy needs to be updated.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions, discussion around the student attendance policy? All those in favor of approving the monitoring report?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thanks. F14, student freedom of expression in school sponsored media. Do I have a motion to approve the monitoring report?
And very approved monitoring report at 15.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
2 brief questions, probably for Libby. Is there any like media literacy courses or curriculum that's available to students?
I
Especially,
have to get back to you about specifically what we offer. Yeah.
I
yeah,
could speak to my middle school daughter. It's very.
and it
much
may show up, you know, not be
embedded.
specifically,
It's
yeah.
pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah,
They
cool.
learn a lot about digital footprint, about questioning sources, but it's sort of embedded in their
Yep.
ELA and social studies.
Yeah, we do have a curriculum for digital citizenship.
Okay,
That doesn't.
And that course is pretty comprehensive in covering sort of like what you would want it to cover for a
Yeah.
middle school student
yeah,
in terms of
High
like,
schoolers, it's actually a K.
Oh, okay.
or
Yeah, I was
K-12
gonna
curriculum.
say-
yeah. My
Other
first
than
grader
that,
came home with a worksheet the other day.
it
so-
only came on my radar last year for
Yeah.
noticing that my kid was in it. But anyway, but it was really great because there was like asking questions like exactly the type of like about sexting and,
Yep.
you know, what's appropriate to post online and how your footprint sort of lives with you forever and
Yep.
those kinds of conversations.
Great.
At 8th grade level.
Thank you.
In regards to media literacy and like critical thinking, is that what you're asking?
No, more
about?
along the lines of what we're talking about,
Digital
just that kids are
citizenship.
being, you know, they're being tooled up, you know, with the ability to navigate this
Yeah.
media heavy
Yeah.
world that we now live
When
in.
we first got here, there wasn't anything, and that was a main thing for Mike
Yeah.
Barry to do
Yep.
in the last couple of years. And it lives with our media specialists.
Yep.
Right now, they kind of own it, but it is, I know Don Taylor was doing things in the state. It's kind of gone through that route at the
Yep.
middle school along with Katie Chabot, and it's mainly housed with the media specialists.
Great.
Helping the teachers and that, but there's mandatory things that all kids have to do.
And a lot of the global citizenship standards are based around like identifying bias in a source or,
Mhm.
you know, being able to recognize when a source is credible and
Yep.
being able to weigh different perspectives on the same issue, that type of thing.
Yep.
So that's being taught across the board in global citizenship.
Thank you. My other question was, is there a student newspaper or a blog that we could ever see that would just be like an example of what?
Last year, we did have one at the high school.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if there is one. I have not heard of one
Yeah.
yet this year.
Okay.
Mr. Tillotson told me he's Soren's TA.
There's going to be one. Is he the advisor?
He was on, yeah,
He's
yes.
the advisor, so it's probably in the works.
Okay.
then.
It's in the works.
Yes.
He's on the list tonight.
We signed up,
Is he?
yes.
I was
He's
like,
on the
okay.
consent agenda.
So if Jimmy's doing it, then yeah, there will be a newspaper coming out. It's just too
Fun.
early in the school year and I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor of approving F14 student freedom of expression in school policy media? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great, thanks. And then E5, animal dissection.
I move to motion, I make a motion to approve the animal dissection policy and material report.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So there was some discussion about this at the policy committee meeting, and we just had some questions around the procedure. So it says that our policy reads that we will develop procedures, but we were not able to, so I don't know if the word procedure, I'm thinking of procedure in terms of the procedures that are listed
With the policy.
on our website with the policy. But if this is more of a loose definition of procedure in terms of like just
Yeah.
the science teacher themselves need to like develop something.
The science teachers ask.
Yeah.
So I can put that in like procedure language, but it would be like one sentence. The science teachers will ask before every
Yeah.
dissection.
We thought it would be good for the public to be able to, I also looked in the handbooks that were available online, but the one from this year isn't quite up yet, right? Or wasn't when I looked
When did you look?
a couple weeks ago.
That's up there now. Anna did before she left.
So I didn't see any talk about dissection in either the curriculum for the science courses or anything like that. So we just felt like at the people in the policy committee felt like it would be appropriate for that information to be sort of publicly accessible for parents and, you know, students to be able to look at based on the policy language and the law. It sounded like in the statute that it was sort of requiring that to be accessible. So I don't know if that means, like, I've never really run into this with any of your policy monitoring reports. I don't know if that means that we should reconsider saying that we're compliant, or if we should just say that that was our reading of it, or your reading of it, was that it can just be a policy, a procedure developed by the
Small
science
p.
teacher and expressed to the students. It does say, I think the law talks about parents also, or guardians having notifications. So I don't know if that's happening. Anyway,
Well, we didn't do any animal dissection last year, so there wouldn't have been any notification last year.
okay.
But I can certainly put a procedure.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. And then I'm fine just interpreting it that way for now, and then moving forward.
So there's one connected.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, discussion regarding animal dissection? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we have two policy readings, which I don't think we actually read. A reading, but first reading of policy E01, fiscal management, and E02, budget execution. And just for a quick summary, these policies are being updated to reflect small changes in basically federal register citations and a few other just updates to make them fully compliant with current law. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that, but they're posted if the public wants to look at them and weigh in. We'll have two more readings.
So Jim, so Andrew, is it the budget committee? Is that what it's called?
Finance.
Finance.
Finance committee. The finance committee, these went to the finance committee first.
Yes.
And so it was my understanding that Grant, along with the finance committee, tweaked and made the changes necessary. I just don't know where to look on this document to know, like,
Yeah, when it got downloaded as a PDF, the red ink,
the strikeouts and
The
stuff like
red-
that.
I think the red went away.
Okay,
I was wondering about that.
okay. I mean, I tend to just
It would
have
be nice to
complete
have
faith
that.
in our finance committee and Grant to make the changes
For the
necessary.
second reading, I'll make sure that we'll up the crossouts or something.
Okay, yeah.
Download it as a PDF.
It'd be good to be able to bring your eye straight to the changes because
Yep,
they're
we can
long
do that.
policies.
I was wondering if that happened, we would take the time to look.
So they were in our board packet in the last meeting and those strike
And those
throughs
were-
were
yeah.
there.
But there were some
Yeah.
changes
But
made to
then
those.
there were changes since then? Okay, thank you.
We're gonna have this second reading in the next school board meeting, which is 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
Maybe we can put a post on Front Porch Forum to say policy, second reading of this policy, just like to give more, to start kind of like,
Seek input,
to
public
seek-
input.
or just to let them know that that's what we're gonna be doing,
Mhm.
so that people know that those are the ones that are gonna be.
We could just post our agendas on Front Porch Forum, which has all the policy
Yeah.
stuff. That could be good
Great
practice.
idea.
Okay.
We generally get those like on Friday mornings, Libby? Right?
Generally,
Yeah.
So I'm doing them now and they take me approximately 4 hours.
That's
And
bananas.
I've obviously made 2 mistakes or 3 mistakes each week. So I'm scheduled myself to do them Thursdays.
Okay.
So you're getting them Thursdays because I'm sending them out as soon as I can do them. But it may be Fridays sometime. It's when I have a 4-hour block of time to do it either
I
Thursday
can't
or
imagine
Friday.
any time you actually have a 4 block hour.
It's
block
blocked
of
out
time.
during an entire maternity leave.
I'll make a note for myself then for that Friday before our next meeting to do the post on Front Porch Forum.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mia.
Yeah, great idea.
So now we're gonna move into executive session, which I think will probably mean sitting here and moving, what is that?
Can I ask 2 questions?
Sure.
When you do a Front Porch Forum, does it go to the Northfield Front Porch Forum? Because that's the Roxbury Front Porch Forum.
Good question. I think it does. I'll take a look. Because I know it goes to surrounding towns.
Okay, I think that a lot of them do, but I don't know how it works necessarily, but
Yep.
it's definitely 2 separate Front Porch Forums.
Yep.
The other thing is, if when someone were to be elected to the school board, would they get some kind of how-to packet, or this is the 300 pages of stuff, and if it's 300 pages of rules specifically is a big thing, like what you can and can't do, that would be a priority to myself if I were to be. But how does that, is there a, start with these 5 things are a priority, the next 10 things, or something like that? Is there a,
Yeah, I think the best thing to do, the VSBA has some good kind of starter packets, which are worth looking at. Vermont School Boards Association.
It's
VSBA.
literally called November.
Yeah, like
Okay.
November
VSBABT.org,
training.
I think is,
Don't they have a
And they will
train-
send
they
it
usually
to
have
you.
a training too,
They,
right?
Yeah, they have a training.
they will mail you a package if you want, hard copy.
then
They
code
will
it in
mail you
and
all the
then
things
not.
that you want.
the other, I would read through the policies. You don't have to read them like they're a novel. You don't have to, you're not gonna absorb it, but it's good to just kind of familiarize yourself and pay attention to a couple things. There's a couple on like board expectations, board superintendent relations. Pay attention to that.
Let's vote first.
Yeah, well, we're just talking theoretically at the moment.
I also give the new member a call and
Yeah.
take a walk with you or go
Yeah,
out to lunch together or something and answer any questions you might have.
yeah, and I would be happy to take that member out to lunch as well.
I
And
didn't get any
the other
lunch.
thing-
Yeah, you don't feel it, sorry.
Where's my room?
No, I'm happy to take anyone out to lunch.
I think they're gonna have a busy lunch schedule in the next
Yeah.
few weeks.
And the other thing that person needs to do is they have to get sworn in before you can become an official member. And you can do it by phone, you can do it by person, but the town clerk needs to do that.
And usually Anna would be reaching out
Yes.
with an email address
Oh, I'll make sure that.
and the swearing in
Yeah.
rules and the phone number to call and all of that stuff. So that's gonna be
Tammy Legacy is an excellent person to be sworn in by.
Yes, and she does
That's great.
require in person. She will not do it over the phone.
She does.
In
it.
Roxbury.
And we used
In
to
person.
have,
Yep.
Good.
Jim,
Yep.
legend has it that there used to be like a mentorship
Yes.
type of program happening.
Well, I wouldn't call it a program. It was,
Tradition.
Pairing.
Jill's
yeah.
gonna do
But
it.
that has not happened, I don't think, since I came on. Jill, did you get a mentor?
I did have a mentor.
She's
Okay.
gonna volunteer to mentor.
You?
We have to do.
So I did not get a mentor. I don't think we,
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
Amanda
I
or
think-
Kristen.
Yeah, I don't. think
So
I did a great job.
we've been like really flying by the seat of our pants since COVID.
It's great.
And
Yeah.
initiation has been fast and furious.
And then we
Wow.
also have
Here.
subcommittees, so I think, and that would probably be a conversation with Jim, but if there's particular topics that someone is interested in being on a subcommittee, there's always room on, we have a
Yeah.
negotiations committee, we have policy committees, we have equity committees, we have lots of.
Would it be the, would that be something that might be more appropriate once there was an actual election? Wouldn't I just step into where Jerry is because that's where the needs are or not? I mean,
Oh,
maybe you
filling the
guys
role
can-
on the committees she was on?
Yeah, I
Like which
mean,
committee she was on.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's not
we've got.
actually, it's sort of,
We can discuss that, right?
Yeah, we can discuss that.
There might
I mean,
be
I
some
think there's
shuffling around.
There's a little room for shifting based on interest. And I mean, we have a few committees right now that, we have 4 members that could go down to 3 or a 4th could drop off and you could come on if you're really interested. Yeah, there's room for shuffling. I would give some thought to what interests you or you feel your strengths are.
But it probably wouldn't
You
happen
mean
for a
the-
few
and
weeks.
The new board member should think
The
about
new
that.
board member should think about that. Yes.
Okay.
thank you.
Welcome.
Regarding the Front Porch Forum, so I do post our agenda to the Northfield Roxbury Front Porch
Oh,
Forum
okay.
every week, so I don't know that you need to click that box or,
Look at Kristen, just
hey,
Already there.
just trying to get the
Already
word out there.
ahead of the curve.
Excellent. Let's have a motion. Okay. We need 2 motions. We need a motion. We need the Bridget motion, which is.
I have it.
We have it, which is that it would be basically something around it would be detrimental to the positioning of the board to discuss these matters in public or some such.
Well, I thought I had it.
I think something like that would
Because it's around
negotiations.
contracts.
Yeah.
Contract conditions.
Would put
It
us
put
in
the
something
board
about-
at a
in a
disadvantage.
disadvantage or a
Okay.
compromised position or
Yes.
something.
Okay, I have it.
I pulled it too.
You go for it.
Okay.
There's a lot of fill in the blanks that I'm not ready to do.
This is for the contract negotiations, right?
Yeah.
So I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the contracts with the unions would place the district at a substantial disadvantage because we risk disclosing our negotiation strategy if we discuss the proposed contract terms in public.
My gosh, it's like you channel Bridget.
Yeah.
I second what he said.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel and contract negotiations.
No, for the purpose of choosing a board member.
I think, is that broadly personnel? I think.
Could be.
I think a board member
Sure.
matter is personnel.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
I move we enter executive session for personnel and contract negotiation matters.
Yeah. With the asterisk that personnel means choosing a board member.
Personnel from board members.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. So I would just give to the vacant, or motion to nominate someone to the vacant seat on the board, which is the Roxbury seat expiring March of 2022.
I move that the board appoint Rhett Williams to serve in the Roxbury position vacated by Jerry Huck through the finality of her term in March 2022.
Second,
I second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, congratulations, Rhett. I'll
Thanks,
send-
Rhett.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rhett.
I will send him an email and the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Sorry, just like, can we just make a little plan to support him in his entrance? Real quick, like Jill can,
I'd be
Yeah, I
happy to
think
reach out.
Jill's gonna be a mentor. I'll reach out for lunch.
I'm happy to
Kinda
reach
give
out to
him
him to
some, yeah.
collaborate
Oh,
and
yeah.
just get
Yeah.
situated here in Roxbury.
and then we can send that PowerPoint from
Yeah, from
from
the SBA.
Pietro
Right.
for the vote training.
And he will need the swearing in an email. I do feel like Anna reminded me of that. So.
I'll get the email for him.
And get him an
tomorrow.
email address.
He's just gotta call Tammy.
Well, he must have emailed his letters.
Yes.
Yep, we got his email.
Okay.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. And then.
Yeah,
should
I
probably
don't
know
remember
this.
the-
Guys, 8:24.
Wait,
Wow, even
8:24.
with an executive session.
Chairs.